Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, today we are going to start our new video series, and this new video series is on all the nine planets. I will start from Sun, the King, and as per my last announcement, we'll go Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. Now, for those who've already following my video series on zodiac signs, now I think the next elementary thing to understand in order to understand anyone's destiny is the planets, because the planets is what drives our life. Planet is the basic entity of a horoscope. So let's get started with the king itself, or sun, as we all know. So what exactly is sun? So from a science perspective, we all know that we've got this solar system and sun sits in the center and all the nine planets revolve around sun. It's pretty much the same for astrology as well, in terms of sun being the king of all the nine planets, and hence it is the most important planet, I should say, out of the nine planets. But why it is the most important planet out of all the nine planets? It is important because sun represents our atma, our soul. Sun represents the physical appearance. So how you look physically is represented by sun. Sun also is your ego, your status, ego status, how egoistic you are. Sun is the king, as I said. So king has his ego within. Say it's got really high in ego. So that is why how much ego a person has in itself is dominated by sun. So if you've got a very strong sun in your horoscope, you will be very, very egoistic. And if your sun is weak or the sun is afflicted, your ego, you will be very down to earth, right? You won't be very egoistic. With king comes dignity and authority, power. So sun represents the authority, sun represents authoritative position, sun represents anyone who's sitting high at a position of power. So how much powerful you are in the society is also driven by sun. Now, with authority, it's directly, related to leadership. So, leadership is also driven by sun, is represented by sun. So, how capable you are as a leader is driven by planet sun in your horoscope. Sun also represents self-development. So that means how focused you are in developing yourself as an individual, as a person, is also represented by sun. Now, sun is, as I said, the king of all the planets. What is the father in a family? Father is the head of the family. And hence, sun is directly related to father, or I should say sun signifies your father in general. So if the position of sun is very, very strong in the horoscope, so that simply means that your father has a high influence on you, number one, or could be a person at a very high position, or at a powerful position. Or that means your father is really, really authoritative. Or that means it could also mean that you could have born in a family where your father really, really is like a king. Now, with king comes government, because king will run the government, and hence sun also represents government and government related matters. With government comes politics, and because without politics, you can't become a king and you can't run a government. So politics in general is represented by sun. So in countries where there's a lot of political turmoil. That means the sun in the horoscope of that country is going through bad transit, or probably is not really strong. So sun also represents politics. With politics comes achievements. So how much are you going to achieve in life is also driven by sun. An important aspect of sun is creativity. A lot of astrologers, you know, relate creativity to Venus. Yes, Venus is the planet of creativity, but the driving force behind Venus is sun. Especially for professions like actors, probably I should say, the ones that are, or people who face camera. When we say light, camera, action, so that light is the sun. So without light, camera can't function, and without camera, action won't have any relevance. And hence, sun is the sole representation of creativity. So for anyone who wants to go into creative fields, we normally look at the position of sun as well, so along with Venus. With sun comes a lot of courage. When we say courage, we mean your fighting ability. And if you've got a strong Mars, obviously that's like icing on the cake. So how determined you are, how courageous you are as a person is also driven by the planet sun. Now, in terms of the physical attributes, your head and your hair is represented by sun. Your eyes, especially your right eye, is represented by sun. Your heart, or your circulation system, the way your heart functions to circulate your blood within your body, is also represented by sun. One thing that I forgot to connect the dots for sun was children. Sun owns the sign of Leo, which is the natural fifth house of the Kalpurusha's horoscope. So that means it is very, very vital when it comes to progeny and pregnancy and childbirth. So sun, if the sun is afflicted, you can have all sorts of that, all sorts of problem, because sun is the Atma. So it's very, very important. It plays a very important role when it comes to childbirth. It's a fiery planet. It owns the Leo sign, as we talked about in our video Leo. It exalts, that means it attains the maximum power in Aries at 10 degrees, and it's of the least potential in Virgo in Libra in 10 degrees. It gets the directional strength, and we'll talk more about directional strength and all the other aspects of horoscopes later. But if you see your sun is placed in or near around 10th house of the horoscope, that means it has got really good strength, no matter even if it's afflicted. So, and last but not the least is the general representation of sun. So you would see copper, or anything copperish in color, is represented by sun. So copper utensils is a representation of sun. When it comes to food products, wheat and jaggery, the gur that we normally call in Hindi, is also represented by sun. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the quick analysis of what the planet sun is and what all it represents, and how important it is in the horoscope. And that is why we call it as like one of the pillars of our horoscope. So yeah, so if you like this video, feel free to share it with your family, friends, and people who are really interested in knowing more about sun in general. And a lot of sunshine and laughter to you all. And last but not the least, Thanks for watching.